Hello and welcome back to the Film Custodian Show. I am the Film Custodian and I am back in the garage. And today we're going to talk about something really special. Something incredible is happening on TV. Well, I guess streaming really, but it's Andor. Star Wars Andor. Star Wars Andor, and it's awesome. Spoilers! Spoiler alert! Don't go any further until you see the episode. Don't watch this until you see the episode. Go watch it, and if you don't mind being spoiled, then okay, proceed. This is sort of my review, like my highlights of episode 6, and so quickly I'm just gonna kind of go over episode 5 really quick, just a quick summary. So episode 5 sort of begins a new story arc, right? So at the beginning you have episode 1, 2, and 3, you have a beginning, middle, and an end, and it ends with that battle with the security forces. And then episode 4 kind of starts a whole new story, a small little section. So that seems to be the style and how they're doing it in like 3-episode blocks. And in a way, that's even kind of how they described it when they talked about how they're going to start filming season 2. It's going to be the same kind of thing, like sort of setting up blocks of 3 episodes or so with a story arc, and that's great. So episode 5 starts off with more of the basically getting ready for the heist. They're practicing everything. They're they're figuring it out. They're mapping it out, talking it through what they're going to do. There's more drama at home with Mon Mothma and her family. And I really like that. I really like this sort of ground level exploration of characters, both in the political arena and just sort of boots on the ground guys. And so they set up for everything. They set up for episode 6. Episode 6, The Eye. And it's fantastic. It's a great episode. Not only a wonderful episode for this series, but a great episode just for Star Wars TV as a whole. I think this episode in particular rivals anything that The Mandalorian has thrown at us so far. One of my favorite episodes actually was, I forget the name of it, but it involved Ahsoka, where it was basically a samurai, short film, Ahsoka's entrance and whatnot. And that was kind of the thing that a lot of people got annoyed with. Well, some people got annoyed with. I actually kind of liked it, where Season 2 of The Mandalorian kind of ended up more on a macro level. They're, bringing in all these special guests. They're, who are they going to bring in now? They're bringing in Ahsoka. They're bringing in this guy. They're bringing that guy. Luke Skywalker, yay! This is just normal human beings. And it's something that Star Wars has never done before, because really, up until this point, that's not what Star Wars is. Star Wars has always been about the spectacular, the extraordinary, the fantasy of the whole thing, Jedi Knights and stuff. So, but I mean, we've done that. If we kind of want to keep Star Wars going and keep moving along and coming up with new stories, you got to tell some stories that don't involve Jedi, that don't involve the Force, that don't involve those fantasy elements all the time. So, this is great. Star Wars is basically World War II in space, when you're not involving the Jedi Knights and the Force and sort of the greater mythologies. You have the dog fights, you have TIE fighters, you have X-Wings, you have the soldiers on the ground. And this, they must have found in like an old bunker somewhere, or an actual dam that they filmed on for this particular episode, because they're definitely on location somewhere. It's like, it's a dam, there's bunkers everywhere, it's very World War II-esque. It reminded me of like the 1960s World War II movies with Clint Eastwood, like Where Eagles Dare and things like that, and that's fantastic. So basically they go on the heist. That's a whole elaborate plot, and they introduced a new character in this episode. They call him the Commandant, right? And they're going to do this whole thing where they're sort of going to exchange some pelts with the local native population, native to that planet. And at the beginning, when they first introduced the Commandant and this new kind of captain or lieutenant guy coming in, and they talk about, basically how they're slowly destroying this planet's inhabitants and their culture and everything, slowly just destroying it, and they're kind of just going through the motions until eventually, no one's going to make the trek to come up to see this wonderful display which a little bit of background on that. I guess every so often there's this huge like meteorite storm or just fantastic lights that come in over this planet and just fly overhead, and it's all these beautiful bright colors. It's very Star Wars. That was more fantastical. And that was kind of needed. I mean, like I've been saying, I'm enjoying that this is basically a war movie. This is World War II in space. And then, you know, where's the Star Wars type stuff? So this was all out Star Wars. You got this fantastical light show going on overhead, and it's something that the native population holds sacred. And that is the time when they're like, this is the time, we're going to do the heist, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it now. So they do the heist. The action is fantastic. There's even a scene that I really enjoyed where the two female characters, they get in like scuba gear and they go into the water, and then they like, you know, do a tightrope. It's not a tightrope, but they're swimming through the water and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, it really is, they really are embracing the spy thing. They really are embracing the World War II, you know, Dirty Dozen mission aspect of it. And it's great. There's a shootout that's pretty brutal. When characters die, there's not like, they don't stand on ceremony or anything. It's just, well, he's dead, he's gone. I just appreciate everything that they're doing and the slow build up to this point. This is the payoff, and the payoff is well earned. It's awesome. So also something else that I noticed is that Andor really, the character Cassian Andor really becomes Cassian Andor in this episode. There's a section later on where towards the end they have to go to this sort of a medical planet, or a medical outpost, because one of the guys is injured, and they go there. And actually he gets injured because as they make their escape, a bunch of the gold or the currency that's on pallets comes back and smashes him, and just smashes him, sandwiches him in there. I mean, there's some brutal fighting, brutal action going on, and so he's basically disabled at this point. He can't move his legs, so they take him over to this medical thing, and he got this very Star Wars doctor. He's got 4 arms, and he's got, you know, like the goggles in his head and everything, and it was a lot of fun to see more alien life type of thing. And so Andor is outside, and one of the guys is like, hey, we could just take the gold and run. It's like, yeah, well, what about all that stuff about your brother? I don't have a brother. So he's just in it for himself. He's just playing along like, oh yeah, I'm about the cause, but no, he's out for himself. So Andor does something I didn't expect at all. Pew! He just shoots him. He kills him. I honestly did not expect that. I was like, oh wow, okay. But in this particular exchange, in this particular episode, he really became Andor. I think the character finally has come all the way around. Now the next 6 episodes, we'll see more of Andor, more of this. Because up until now, I thought, you know, he was kind of the weakest part of the show for the first 5 episodes. But that's because they didn't just give you everything all at once. They slowly, progressively build him up, and build him up to be this character that eventually you see in Rogue One, where he's going to join the rebellion and join the fight. I don't think we're going to see any of these characters again, is the thing. I mean, you have the first 3 episodes, you meet all the characters on that last planet. I can't remember the name of it, but the planet you start out on, and now these 3 episodes, you spend all that time with these characters. So now I fully expect for the next 3 episodes, there's going to be a whole new list of characters. Maybe, maybe not. I'm sure they're going to return back to where Cassian was at the beginning of the show. I mean, they've even shown it in the trailers that, you know, the Empire is going to show up, which, yes. So, big win for the rebellion, but now everybody knows. So the Empire has been alerted. There's a great scene. You go back to the security forces, you know, and they're all running and everything. It's like, everybody, get in here. Get in here. We need a plan. We need a plan. There's been a rebellion, and we're going to shut it down. And, you know, I want all the plan. Like, it's so great because everybody's just like, I want your pitch, basically. You got to have all this stuff ready to present, and how we're going to defeat this rebellion on this planet, because they've made noise. They rattled the cage, right? And so you're going to see the one female commander. I think she's a captain or something, but she's, you know, we've seen in the trailer, she's walking. She's flanked by 2. They're the Death Troopers. Yeah, she's flanked by 2 Death Troopers. So And that was the other thing that was cool too, was we're seeing just the regular grunts, right? The regular soldiers, where they're not stormtroopers. They've in this show they've completely separated. You know, that you've got just your everyday recruits, your infantry, right? Where they have armor, they have helmets and whatnot, or even just hats, but they're just the infantry. They're the troops. A lot again, which like they started in the Solo film, where Solo has just got a helmet on and armor and whatnot. He's not a stormtrooper. He's just a normal grunt. Or they even call him like you mud crunchers. Like they're the expendable ones basically. They're not the stormtroopers, and that really sets up the stormtroopers are elite. The stormtroopers are the ones that go in and get the job done. And they haven't really in past TV shows. And even in the new movies, they're just, they're getting shot left and right. They're not really a threat at all. So it's nice that Andor is taking a step back and going, wait a minute, stormtroopers are supposed to be elite. They're supposed to be imposing. They're supposed to have a presence. And then on top of that, which makes the Death Troopers even more deadly, like they're the special forces. So they're the ones that come after the stormtroopers. And I like that. I like the idea that the Empire is imposing again, and that they're powerful again, and that the separation of just the everyday recruits to stormtroopers to death troopers, and that they're somebody to be feared. Fear the Empire. I mean, that's what's going on, And then there's just also the cinematography in this particular episode is fantastic. You have the fantastic, the meteors or stars or whatever it is going over, and it's this magnificent light show. In the background, in the foreground, you've got silhouettes of TIE fighters and the pilots getting in the TIE fighters, and I'm like, this is great. This is a whole new level. And I'm so glad, because up to this point I'm like, you have to be building towards an awesome payoff, and they did. We're halfway through the season, and I'm completely satisfied. But I want more, right? Like I'm really hoping that the action just keeps ramping up as we go. Now I don't mind a slow burn. I don't mind a show taking its time. I don't need action and lightsabers every 5 seconds. That's awesome, but I don't need it all the time, especially don't need it for this show. This show tonally is different. And that's another thing I want to really hit on. Tone is so important. Tone. Stick to your tone. If you're going to be serious and mature, and you're going to be this slow burn drama with characters and story and all these things, this is how you do it. From start to finish. This is what this show is doing. They're sticking to it. There's no awkward, minstrel guy coming in just going like, oh, I have the thing. Oh, you in a very important tense scene. Did I just ruin your intense scene? Oops. And then duck out. Like what happened so many times with The Witcher, with, Jakar or whatever his name is. Stop doing that. You ruin too many tense moments when you do that. There's none of that. The tone is straight from beginning to end. So there's no confusion or anything. There's no weird, awkward humor. There's hardly any humor at all, I mean, there's some humor, but it's subtle. You don't need you don't need the bard just coming in and going, voila! Hello, everybody, I'm funny. Like, you don't need that. If this was a silly Star Wars show, then yeah, that would be fine. Because that would be the tone that would be set. Anyway, yeah, so. I got to give, this was directed by Susanna White. I'd actually never heard of her before this, but she's done episodes of Boardwalk Empire and a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, it shows. It's well written. It's written by Dan Gilroy. Again, him and Tony Gilroy are the ones primarily writing the show. They're, the showrunners and whatnot. And it's great. They are fully in charge of this thing, and it shows. It shows that they have a clear direction. Nothing has been messed with, at least so far anyway. This is a clear vision, and they are sticking to it, and it's great. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Go watch the show Andor right now. Go watch it. It has the potential to be better than The Mandalorian if it isn't already. It's just, I love The Mandalorian so much, so it's hard to say if this is better. But, I mean, in a lot of ways it is better, right? I mean, a lot of the stuff in The Mandalorian can be very surface level. There's not a lot of depth, especially when they keep bringing in people like, special guests all the time, like Luke and Ahsoka and all that, which I love. But again, you're bringing that in, and you're sort of sacrificing character moments and story beats that you could be doing. So anyway, all right. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Go check out my other videos. I do a lot of ranting about the Rings of Power and how terrible that show is. I also talk a lot about House of the Dragon and how awesome that is. All right, so see you later.